If you play guitar and you've never messed around in DADGAD, you need to do so immediately. One of the most common comments I get across all of my social media pages, are you in an alternate tuning? I am in an alternate tuning. 99% of the time, I'm in the tuning of DADGAD. I started messing around with it in college, and at some point I just left my guitar in it, and it's become kind of my thing, I guess. I thought more people knew about it because it's a fairly popular, if not the most popular, alternate tuning for guitar. But apparently I was mistaken. I recently posted a video about DADGAD on my TikTok page and my Instagram page, and it's just a short little thing with hardly any explanation at all. And to my surprise, it went viral. If I had to pick one video that I thought would not go viral, it would be the one about DADGAD tuning, but for some reason people are super intrigued by it and apparently had no idea that it was even a thing. So I'm gonna make this video a little more in depth to at least help you get your brain around the tuning so you can operate in it a little bit. Just a fair warning, you know this if you've been following me for a minute on any of my social platforms, I'm not the super musician-y guy. I'm not the theory guy. I'm not the G-sus7add9 guy. I don't know much theory at all. I don't care about theory at all. The little bit of theory that I have learned in the past actually kind of got in the way because of the way my brain works. I think if I know what I'm doing technically, it boxes me in a little bit. So I've purposely kind of stayed away from knowing what I'm doing so that I kind of operate by the seat of my pants all the time. That may not be the route for you. You may be the person that needs to know all the things about all the things. I've operated in Nashville for a couple of decades and I don't know the Nashville number system. You can tell me to play a 5 or a 7 chord. I have no idea what you're talking about. All that to say, if you're on this video expecting to learn exactly what chord voicings each one of these chords are, I'm not your guy. I don't know and I don't care. But if you want to figure out a little bit about DADGAD and start playing in it, I'm your guy. We just want to do something that sounds good, feels good, and makes people feel something. I think DADGAD is an incredible tool to do those things. Real quick before we get started, this is a brand new Martin OM28 that I just got last week. If you follow me at all, you'll know that we just gave away a Gibson SJ100 last month. This month, we're giving away a Martin OM28. All you have to do to enter to win this guitar is go to go.getenteredtowin.com/Wilkes. There's a limited edition collectible there you can purchase. Every one of those limited edition collectibles gets you one entry to win it. Every entry helps me make more content, make more music, give away more guitars, all the things that if you're here, you hopefully like. Because if you're here and you don't like those things, what are you still doing here? Maybe you just like red hair and camouflage pants? Anyway, go.getenteredtowin.com/Wilkes and get entered to win this guitar. The giveaway ends April 28th, 11:59 Pacific time. Go get entered. Get a cool guitar. DADGAD. It's my favorite tuning by far for a number of reasons. Mainly, I just think it sounds pretty and it's fun to play in. One of the most surprising comments I got on that Instagram video I posted about DADGAD that blew up was, how do I tune my guitar to DADGAD? Surprisingly, it's in the name, DADGAD. D-A-D-G-A-D. They don't call it DADGAD just because it sounds cool, because honestly it doesn't sound cool at all. It sounds pretty weird, and the more I say it, the less it sounds like a thing. Like I mentioned earlier, this video is not going to be full of a lot of theory and all that stuff. This is just for people who want to play songs and have fun, whether you're experienced or not. DADGAD, regardless of your experience level, is great because technically you can play any chord in DADGAD with 2 fingers. The easiest key to operate in DADGAD is the key of D, which makes sense because there's a lot of Ds in the tuning. A basic D chord, you just need 1 finger. Right here on the G string, on the 2nd fret. That's it. Technically, I think that, but whatever. For the sake of this video, this is some sort of D. From there, you just kind of walk up the neck. A G chord, slide your finger up 2 frets and root the D string on the G. That's G. For an A, slide that exact shape up 2 frets. That's an A. For a B minor, slide up again 2 frets from A to B. The top finger this time only goes up 1 fret because it needs to be a B minor. So it's a slightly different shape. It goes from this to this. Then all the way at the top, there's another D. One reason this tuning is so intuitive and easy to play is because you can get away with a lot of open strings. Letting the strings drawn is kind of the magic of this tuning, so don't be afraid to just let strings just frail out open. If they work, it works. If it sounds cool, it sounds cool. Don't worry about it too much. I don't want to make this video too long and complicated with all the intricacies of how to put your fingers and all that stuff. I really want to just show you the general appeal of this tuning to inspire you to go out and try it. One reason I love this tuning so much is because the droning nature of the open strings makes everything sound real pretty and big and open, way more so than in standard. So if you're playing by yourself, if you play in this tuning, it sounds like you're doing more than you actually are. Actually, a lot of people think I'm a lot better guitar player than I am because I play in this tuning most of the time, and it's really just because of all the pretty strings that are ringing open and all the cool voicings that you can do. To a lot of people's ears, it sounds like there's more going on than there is. If they're used to hearing standard, this either sounds like there's multiple guitars or you're doing something magical, when in reality, you're not doing as much. It just sounds prettier and it sounds different than what people are used to hearing, I guess. Just for the sake of simplicity, I'll give you an example using 4 chords. D, G, B minor, and A. Right out of the gate, the most basic version of those chords in this tuning sounds beautiful. I'm going to play through the same chord progression 3 times. The first time I'm going to play the basic version of the chords. The second time, all I'm going to do is add a finger on the A string on the same fret as the low D string. So if I'm fretting the low D string on the G, I'm going to add my ring finger on the A string on the same fret. The third time around, I'm going to move the finger that's on the A string up to the high D string instead. Just to show you how easy it is to add layers and depth the farther along you get in a song with the same chord progression. It keeps it from sounding so monotonous, and it's super easy. It's also super easy in this tuning to move around little melodies on the fretboard while you're playing. If you're a fairly accomplished guitar player, you can do that in standard too, but it's way easier to do it in DADGAD. Here's that same chord progression with just a little bit of finger movement. And when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit. On the A chord I showed you, if you just hammer on 1 fret up, or the B minor 2 frets up, it's literally one tiny little move, but that tiny little move spread out through all these different chords makes it sound like there's a lot more going on than there actually is, and it sounds beautiful, and it's not hard. Here's that same chord progression, finger picked, with just a little bit of movement and a little bit of hammer-ons, nothing too crazy, simple stuff. It's not hard to do, and it sounds beautiful. One hiccup to this tuning really is that you can only play in a limited amount of keys. You can really only play in D, G, and A. Outside of those 3 keys, you're just going to need to use a capo, which is fine. Capos are fine. If you don't like capos, I guess just play in D, G, and A or stay in standard. A lot of people say you can only play in the key of D. I don't agree with that at all. I think G and A both sound great. One last example of why I love DADGAD. I'm going to play a chord progression that's B minor, A, F sharp minor, G. My hands are going to be in this same basic shape the whole time. But I'm going to be able to vary those chords and those voicings a good bit with each pass without having to over contort my fingers. It's just not as much work, mainly because you can play with the open strings so much. It sounds like there's more going on than what is going on. would encourage you to tune one of your guitars down to DADGAD and just start messing around. In my opinion, the best way to learn anything is just to kind of figure it out for yourself. I would actually encourage you to figure out these basic chords, but then after that, just mess around. I don't think as musicians, the first thing we should do is jump off into YouTube or Instagram or a chord chart and try to figure out what we're doing prior to actually doing it. I think the better route is to figure out the absolute basics and then just go for it and see what happens. So pick up your guitar, tune it down to DADGAD, and just put your fingers places. Worst case scenario, you do something like that, and then you figure out, oh, that works. That finger doesn't work there, but it works there, works there, works there, works there, works there, doesn't work there. Put your fingers on the fretboard, see what works, see what doesn't. It's going to take you a little longer, but if you figure it out for yourself, not only are you going to retain it longer, but you're most likely going to play it in a way that's more you and more unique, and you're going to come up with something that's more artistic than trying to go find the right way to do it. I'm very much so an anti-right way to do it guy. I don't think there's a right way to do anything in music. Jimi Hendrix played his guitar upside down, and it was perfect. I don't fingerpick right. I fingerpick very wrong technically, but who cares? I don't care. Tune your guitar down to DADGAD, put your fingers on the fretboard, see what happens. I guarantee you something magical will happen, and whatever that something is, lean into that, find a couple of more magical things to happen, and just mess around. The whole point of music is supposed to be to have fun and to create art. It's not math. It's not science. It shouldn't be stressful. Just pick up a guitar and go for it. If you don't want to play in this tuning, just turn your strings on your guitar until it gets to a note that you think sounds cool and play that. There's no rules in music. There's no right way to do this. There's no wrong way to do this. Do whatever you want. Have fun. Make music. Make art. Make your thing. Do your thing. Be yourself. Be unique. I love DADGAD. It speaks to me in a way that standard doesn't. Try it out. It may for you too. And if it doesn't, who cares? Tune it back up to standard. If you have some videos of you playing in DADGAD or in some other tunings, drop them down in the comment section. I would love to see them, especially if you make a video after this of you messing around in this tuning for the first time. Film that and send that to me in the comment section. I would love to see that video. If you want to see this tuning in action in a full song, I use it in 90% of the stuff that I post. Click on this video. This is something that I played in DADGAD. Don't forget, you can win this guitar. Go to go.getenteredtowin.com/Wilkes. In less than 20 days, it's going to belong to one of you guys. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate it. Bye.